thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. I wanted to talk to you about taking it to the next level. And what I mean is, if you're at 50%, getting to 60 or 70. If you're at 90, you're trying to get to 100. And kind of just explain, I guess, a strategy that you could look at to really make sure that you're getting all of the benefits that you should be getting. So with that, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I truly appreciate it. Every minute watched helps the channel grow and get the word out there. So I appreciate all of that. If you want to support the channel in other ways, consider being a member. You can do that by going to the home page, and you will see highlighted members there and a join button. All right, so let's jump into it. If you are anything other than 100% permanent and total, and really, quite frankly, we'll just say anything less than 100%. If you're 100% but not permanent and total, that's a whole other thing. You're trying to get those conditions to become static so you don't have future exams and they can deem you permanent and total and move on. So really, this is about the 90% and down folks. Now, here's the situation. What I would do, number one, is be aware of changes within the rating systems. For example, there's a couple new ones coming in here on May 19th that could be favorable. Things like celiac disease, things like hemorrhoids, things like IBS are going to have a little tweak to them and might make it easier to reach the next level. There's also proposals for mental health to really revamp how it views your criteria for rating. Quite frankly, I believe that the rating schedule change for mental health that's proposed is going to be extremely advantageous for folks, really allowing people to move from the 70 to the 100%. So number one, you have to be aware of the different moving pieces that are happening and be able to file that claim when the time comes. Now, barring that type of stuff, the other thing you need to keep an eye on or look out for are presumptive conditions. You might fit into a category for presumptive conditions that are really, the bar is set very low in order to be able to get qualified, as long as you served in the appropriate location during the appropriate time frame and you have a diagnosed presumptive condition. That's my rooster Stan chiming in. If you have those things, location, time frame, and the diagnosed presumptive condition, you should be service connected. So now let's dive into all the other things. The strategy, if you will, for moving to the next level. The number one thing that you need to do is figure out what your true rating is according to VA math. Remember, the VA is going to round you to the nearest 10. So you're always going to see a 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on as far as your overall rating is concerned. However, your raw rating, your true rating, might be, for example, 82%, but they're going to round you to 80 to pay you out at that 80% schedule. You might be 94% and rounded down to 90 and paid at the 90%. So you need to figure out where you're at so you can know where you're going to go. That's the first step, because you need to be able to play with the numbers to see what makes sense. So figure that out. Take each one of your ratings and add them up. Now, the VA has funny math. It's a little hard to do. You can utilize a calculator. It's a VA calculator, and I'll try to remember to put that in the description. It's on their website. You could probably type in Google VA calculator or percentage calculator, rating calculator, something like that, and it should show up. Now, just to give the quick example of how VA math works, if you have 350% conditions, well, to a normal person, that sounds like 150, right? 350s is 150. But with VA math, 350s looks like this. The VA looks at all of your ratings and they go, which one is the highest? Well, in this case, they're all the same. So 50%. The VA says, okay, great, you're 50% bad. Well, that means you're still 50% good, right? Now what they're going to do is they're going to sit your bad 50% over here, and they're going to look at your next 50% of good. They're going to look at your next rating, which is 50%, take 50% of your 50% good. That's 25. They're going to add that 25 to your existing 50 bad, creating a 75% bad. But in the VA's eyes, you're still 25% good. The next rating, in this case 50%, is going to be used on that remaining 25 good. So 50% of 25 is 12 and a half. They're going to take that 12 and a half, add it to your 75 bad, taking you to 87.5, effectively 88. There's nothing else to rate. They go, okay, your raw rating or your true rating is 88. Well, they're not going to pay you out at an 88%. So they're going to round you to 90 and pay you out on the 90% schedule. So that's how it works. So you need to figure out where you sit currently. Then what I personally would do is take all of my conditions, write them all down so you remember what they are or whatever, print them out. If you have 10 conditions that you're rated for, you're going to want to go into the rating schedule, the schedule of ratings for each one of those conditions and read through them. And for example, if you're rated at 10% for migraines and you read the criteria and you go, well, wait a minute, I should be a 30. You need to write down a 30 next to your migraines and circle it or something so you know that really you qualify for a 30. You also want to make sure that you print out that criteria that they're looking for that 30, because that is the VA's basically rule book there, showing you exactly the criteria needed for that percentage. So keep that. Now do that with each one of your conditions. Some of them, it's like, it is what it is. It seems like it's right, whatever, move on. But any of the ones that you see and you read and you go, you know what, I think I warrant a higher rating here. You're going to want to file increases on those. That's an important piece, right? Now, you can also go, okay, well, let me put my numbers back in the VA calculator, add them all up, and instead of migraines at 10%, I'm going to do migraines at 30% and see how that changes my overall rating. Important to know. So you can do this for all of your ratings, right? Figure out which ones you can file your increases for, go for it. The other thing that I would suggest is if you have not went through your entire service treatment records from your time in the military to see what you could service connect, I suggest doing that. Order your records if you don't have them. It's with the SF standard form, SF 180. You can order your records, your service treatment records, go through those, see if there's anything in there that you can tie back to your time in service, complaints of whatever, right? So that's another option. You can file a new claim for service connection for one of those conditions that you may have missed, may have forgotten about. Next, you want to, as you're going through all this, you're going to want to see if there's any possibility for any sort of secondary conditions, especially as we get older. Typically, we don't have less conditions as we get older. We start to develop new conditions, ailments, issues, whatever. So you want to make sure that you go through and really think about what could be tied to your current service-connected conditions. Now, sometimes it's hard to wrap your head around it. So what I suggest doing to kind of open up your eyes a little bit is go into Google and type in one of your conditions and common secondary conditions or secondary conditions due to whatever my condition is, right? And do that for each one of your conditions and read what it says. You might have one of those things that are considered secondary to that. Of course, then you're going to want to go to your doctor, have the conversation with your doctor, have them write you what I consider to be a secondary Nexus letter. So basically, the doctor is saying, because of your current condition of X, which by the way is service connected, you have now developed Y as a secondary condition. So that way it's very clear to the VA that yes, in fact, this new condition is secondary to an existing service connected condition. It's a piece of the pie that you have to make sure that you present. So that's kind of some of the strategy that you can utilize in order to help bump your rating up. I hope that helps. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.